the cement industry isn't on its own. There are many other industries that we could have hosted here this morning and had a similar but different discussion. But one could argue that the industry has had a disproportionate share of headwinds and challenges. And I'd be interested to get your insights on, what those headwinds and challenges are, and in the same breath, what needs to happen to change that narrative.
Okay, I think the critical one, and Elsie's already mentioned it, is lack of infrastructure spend. Cement goes into virtually all infrastructure. And currently we're only producing about 50% at about 50% of capacity. And until that changes, and that's a lack of infrastructure spend, it's a lack of skills in the local authorities, provincial authorities. The one standout example is Sanral. I mean, they're at least spending quite a lot of money at the moment, a couple of billion, but the rest of government is just not spending. We have imports coming in, being dumped, which is an unfair competition.
What's your definition of dumped?
Well, it's selling here at a cheaper price than it sells in the home country. I mean, in the case of the Pakistani cement, that was being backhauled. They were buying coal out of Richards Bay and backhauling cement into Durban. So being dumped.
Not everyone knows what backhauled means, starting with me.
Okay, well, they're using the same ships, the ships that are taking the coal, so they're getting freight both ways. So it reduces costs.
So they get a subsidy on one of the transport legs.
Yeah, and also getting subsidies from the government. In the case locally, Namibia has just given incentives to their manufacturers to export into South Africa, which we are not allowed to. They've got import tariffs against us exporting there. There's cement coming in from Mozambique, Chinese cement coming in from Mozambique. We also have unfair, I think the unfair competition here is largely around the costs we have that the importers don't have. And the critical one is carbon tax. South Africa imposes carbon tax on the cement industry, which most of these countries that are exporting into South Africa don't have a carbon tax. That's a critical one. We also have some other costs.
Just give us a sense of how big that tax is or what that number means.
I'm not sure of the exact number. Maybe Njombo would know better. So we have additional challenges as well. I mean, we have other costs that importers don't have. We have the mining charter requirements. The cement industry is a very, very small player in the mining industry through their quarries, but yet they are bound by all the mining charter requirements that the big mines and that have. So there's additional costs there, which importers don't necessarily have. So there's a lot of those sorts of challenges that those countries don't have, which we have in South Africa. But the biggest one, the biggest impediment is the fact that there's lack of spending on infrastructure and cement. A lot of people may not know this, but concrete, which obviously cement is a major component, is the second largest material used on earth after water. So it is critical for all infrastructure, for all development. And we're currently producing about 12 million tons. We've got capacity for 23. And I think if that went up, it would address a lot of the other ills within the industry. If the industry was producing at full capacity, some of these other issues would not be a problem.
But Bryan, I'm hearing something slightly different than what you're saying. What I'm hearing Elsie say is, even if the money were allocated, we don't see this translates into projects. So that's down at 30 feet at the grassroots. Let's say that we can fix that, we can remedy that, and we increase the investment spend. So the gates are open. Why would it be domestic manufacture that steps in?
I think
why would it not be imports?
I think the imports are constrained, and maybe Njombo can give a better view on it, but imports are constrained by transport costs once they get into South Africa. It comes in through the harbours, so they can be very competitive on the coast, but obviously far less competitive inland. So that would make a difference. Okay. Obviously, if you've got plants at the coast like PPC and NPC, they would still be affected possibly by imports, but the internal inland would be less.